Every Friday at the Island Club, I have opportunity to talk to people here on the island about projects and stories of what's been going on. Now, one project I've been very keen to bring here to the show is the story of the community gardens down at in Medlands, and it's always been quite inspiring. I've written about that before, and I think it's one of the little success stories we've got on the island here, and one of the things that makes me excited about living here in this community. So I sat down with Cathy Scott to talk a little about the history, how from an idea it grew into a project that's been very successful over the past few years. And I'll play to you now the recording of that talk I had with Cathy.
I'm sitting here with Cathy Scott, and I want to talk a little bit about the story of the community gardens. Hello, Cathy.
Hi there, Ed.
Now, you've been involved with the community gardens and the family support group for some time. When did the project of having shared gardens here on the island for community members to use first start? Where did the idea come from?
The idea has come from a lot of people over the years. Christina Spence, many years ago, when she was working for the Trust, put forward the idea of a community garden that was based around Maori techniques of growing things and Maori gardening practices. That idea was quite widely accepted but never really got off the ground for many reasons. Then a few years later, Ivan Howie came up with the idea of a community garden and thought it would be a really great idea. And Kate Devey, who was outreach coordinator for the Trust at the time, managed to have a bit of a relationship with Robin Roberts from Rangi Marie, and they leased the front orchard there.
That's the orchard just in front of school?
No, Rangi Marie and Masons Road.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And many volunteer hours were put into this, as well as they did have Anne-Marie Mitchener as a paid worker, working under Task Force Green, I believe it was at the time. Lots of hours went into it, and it proved to be quite successful. However, as these things happen, it soon became apparent that that land was maybe not the appropriate land to be used for many reasons, and so some new land needed to be found. Now, Kate Devey approached St John's Church, who really graciously offered to let the support group use the church land for a community garden. At the very same time, Katie Yent was beginning to think about North Tech gardening horticultural courses. And the original course was just supposed to last, I think it was something like, 1 term. So the church and ATS support group entered into a lease over that bit of land. North Tech provided the equipment, and a few other people in the community donated goods and materials to establish the gardens. And North Tech also provided the big greenhouse that you see there now. This was incredibly successful, and it soon became apparent that the land wasn't big enough for the needs of the community garden as far as ATF Family Support Group saw it, as well as North Tech's needs.
So which year are we talking here at this stage?
We're talking around about late 2008 for the establishment of the church garden. And Rangi Marie had been going for approximately two and a half years. So I think it was about 2005 that the whole thing kicked off. So it has been ongoing. It hasn't always had a high profile, but it has always been ongoing since then.
So how did the church gardens, how were they developed at the outset?
At the outset, they were developed purely by the North Tech students under Katie's tutelage. The church agreed to let us use a certain part of their land. It was fenced by North Tech with a little bit of help from the support group with materials, and I'd have to say a lot of help from members of the community, donating goods and services, including the metal for the hard stand for the greenhouse. The church let us use the water for that garden because we had no water of our own at that stage. It really has been a fantastic relationship building exercise for many reasons between the church, the ATF Family Support Group and North Tech. And it has involved a lot of people who otherwise, who would not have had the gardening skills that they have today, or the benefits of the community involvement that they're now experiencing.
And since then, the garden has expanded.
Yep. The garden sort of got a bit too small both for Nortec, and we felt that the support group needed its own space as well. The perfect opportunity arose, well, we thought, when we noticed that the land next to the church was vacant, and seemingly there was no plans for it. We approached Doc, who had been approached before, but it was always a tricky situation, the use of dockland for public services, and just fortunately for me and for the support group, the timing just sort of seemed to be right, and I'd have to say that Des Casey is owed a huge debt of gratitude by the support group and the whole community actually. The work that he did on our behalf in securing the use of that land by us all was just fantastic, and as a result the support group now has a lease over that land to be used for a community garden, basically in perpetuity.
Good going. The community garden has grown quite a bit.
Nortec have gone from strength to strength. The support group has a small community garden behind the sort of rubbish recycling area. Auckland City have donated plants for us to plant there as shelter. That's our bird feeding area of the garden. And we also have a small sort of no-dig veggie garden there, and a caravan, which is our little office, our shed. Nortec have got their big garden by the water tank. The water tank was actually provided by funding from the Community Board and the J.R. Mackenzie Trust. And Nortec now are entering their third year of developing that garden through the various courses. And the latest development has actually come through the use of COGS money that was very generously given to the ATF Family Support Group for developing an orchard, and Nortec, as part of their courses, have planted that orchard. I think anybody who drives past at the moment can just see that at the moment it's going ahead in leaps and bounds, and it's something that all Nortec students and Katie should be really particularly proud of, the work there that's gone into that, and the input that's come from members of the community donating goods and services is really something to be very proud of.
Now, you were telling me before that the community gardens have become quite a project for the people involved and others in the community, and over the years, how many people have been involved, and have the same group of people continued, and what's been going on?
It's like most things on the island, things evolve. I'd have to say that for myself in the support group role, I've had tremendous support from two volunteers, Gail Johnson, our community worker, and Sue Whanga, who, we sort of muddle through really, you'd have to say, but always the ideas and the vision for the community garden is continually being consolidated and reinforced. Nortec have put tremendous input into the gardens, not just through Katie, but also financially, and they're very supportive of what's happening here. And I think there's a hardcore group of people, men and women, right from the start, who have gone from strength to strength with the horticultural courses, brought their friends in, continued on to do yet another course, brought more people in to do courses, and it's spread through the community like that. And so those skills are now being spread back out into the community. I'm sure there are people who once never would have thought that they could feed their families from their gardens are now doing it very well and with gusto and enthusiasm, and the skills that will be in this community forever from that. The other thing that really warms my heart is the relationships that have been forged between on-island organisations, and it's all around community welfare and well-being for people of all ages. And the St John's Church and the ATF Family Support Group are very proud of the relationship that they've forged. The gardens provide food for St John's food parcels, of which they do many. So the whole community actually benefits from that. The Nortec, advantages are obvious to all the people who are learning, who are able to get out and do learning, which I think we all realise now this community is hungry for. I think the people of Medlands have got a lovely park developing in their backyard, which is unusual on Great Barrier in that it's a park with a purpose. And as the years go by, that is just going to get better and better, with being a food source as well as a nice place to visit, and something that is owned by the whole community. And I think that it will eventually, I would like to see Christine Spencer's original idea of the Maori garden happen somewhere, and I think its time will come and the right people will be there ready to do it. And I think I'd also like to see smaller community gardens spread throughout the community, so that there are neighbourhood community gardens, so that people without transport or land have got somewhere to go and share. And I don't think this idea will go away, and I think that it's quite different from community gardens that may be in cities. A rural community garden is unusual because most people have their own gardens. So this community garden is for quite different reasons than town ones would be.
Now, for an idea that got bandied around, it's going to be a very successful project. If before we finish, you can tell us what the secret for success for making an idea to work out into success. What would you take away as learning from this project?
Listening to all the advice that comes your way. Being willing to bend. I've been guilty of having a vision that I didn't really want to move away from. In the end, I've learnt that there's no such thing as one person's vision. It comes from all around you. You have to evolve with that. The needs of this community are ever-changing, and so your vision has to accommodate all those needs and other people's visions. And I think involving anyone who wants to be involved, not being precious about projects, and not feeling ownership to such an extent that it locks other people out. And I think embracing the fact that in this community there are so many people here with the like-minded ideas and the get up and go and the willingness to just get on with the job and get it done.
Sounds something like well worth celebrating. Thank you. I've been talking to Cathy Scott from the Aotearoa Family Support Group about the community gardens down in Medlands by the church.
Thank you.